Welcome, Ultimate fans, to Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the 2024 High School National Invite. Into round 2 of play, back in the girls division, we have Nathan Hale taking on Northampton. Northampton coming off a big win in round 1. We'll see if they can continue the run here at the Mercy Health Sports Core 2 complex in Rockford, Illinois. Keith Rayner joined by Jimmy Chaldwin for this game, and excited to see, even in these windy conditions, these young players approaching play with a lot of energy and a lot of skill.
It's a battle of mental toughness out here in Rockford, Illinois. We've seen teams having struggles with the wind, but also being able to work very diligently, working the small passes, and being able to find those shots when they are able to. Let's see how Nathan Hale and Northampton are able to battle it out in this coast-to-coast, East Coast, West Coast battle.
And Nathan Hale, out of Seattle, has long been one of the powers in the girls division, has had a lot of success here at the High School National Invite. Northampton, coming out of Massachusetts, another very strong team. It's had a great year. And then, like we mentioned, coming off the big win, they went on Universe against Green Canyon and upset by seed, but I think every team coming in here feeling like they have a chance to do well. And this is a tough pool. They're both in Pool D with Green Canyon and Edina. So I think that every win is going to be very valuable, and certainly Northampton we're going to see coming out confident. Both teams have had a chance to work on how do we approach these conditions? How do we approach this environment? So I'll be curious to see what they come up with as solutions to the windy problem that they're facing.
Absolutely. You mentioned that they have both had very successful seasons. Northampton, your Massachusetts State Championship for this year. And Nathan Hale also doing very well in the Seattle area, Disc Northwest, semifinal loss to Lincoln, but still a very impressive feat in that strong field out west in that Seattle area.
It'll be a little bit of a measure of just how strong the Northwest is as opposed to the Northeast. You get a sense of just how breezy it is. I mean, it is a powerful wind. Elite club players would have their offense stifled in these conditions, but it hasn't dampened the spirits of these players at all, from what I've seen.
The players are out here ready to play. It's not a regular opportunity to be able to play in a national championship. Here you go. This is what you worked for your entire season. Teams in their last huddle right before they go out to their line.
Coaches making their last adjustments before, in the first round, the first point was about 25 minutes. So as a coach, this might be your last chance to talk to your team for a while. So you got to make sure you make it count.
Nathan Hale making their way out to the line as Northampton is set ready to go in their white jerseys.
That wind going from right to left on your screen, so Northampton starting downwind. And I imagine that many of these games here are going to be decided by how effective a team can be going upwind. If you can punch in those upwind scores, doesn't matter how you got them. You can get them with great defense. You can get them punt and play defense. You can run pristine zone offense. All that matters is that you get a goal in that upwind end zone. That could be the difference in these games.
The difference often in these upwind, downwind conditions often comes down to who can get that first upwind break. When teams decide to pull, usually they try to start pulling upwind so that we play a pretty even game, hold for hold. But when a team is able to make that first up and break, that's when you can pair that with that downwind break and put a lot of your momentum going forward toward your team.
Northampton, a team that I think they pride themselves on the play of their handlers. I think the handlers are one of the strengths of this team, and that could lead to some success in the wind as we get underway with the Nathan Hale pull. And just a little miscommunication on that pull coverage allows the roller to come way back. So Isabel Farr's pull eventually comes right down near the goal line and sets up great field position for Northampton, although unable to capitalize. It can be difficult throwing straight up that sideline, and Lionel Niels Duffy can't quite make the connection.
A chance for a first throw score, putting the pressure on early.
Quick throw straight back up the sideline from Farr. That gets Hale a nice chunk of yards to start their offensive possession. Matchup defense from Northampton. That's given Farr work against Niels Duffy. Now Farr taking a deep throw, but unable to keep that one inbounds. It can be so difficult throwing upwind, getting off that low sideline. Jump ball on the swing. Thrower tries to get back to it, so it'll be a turnover. And Farr picks up for Hale, now looking deep with a step around backhand. Impressive execution on the throw, but just misses on the receiving end, trying to target Amina Kuhn.
You see both teams coming out in person-to-person defense in this early first point of the game. Usually in these windy conditions, you want to try to make the offense throw as many throws as possible coming out in a zone. It's interesting to see them coming out in this person-to-person set.
Deep help takes away the initial deep cut. And so a mid-range throw instead, but tough to handle in these conditions. So early on, Nathan Hale winning the field position battle. So they're now into the red zone, but the throw behind the receiver. Disc back to Northampton. Big shot going up from Niels Duffy. Has a target, but the throw a little bit far, and it can be difficult to keep control of those downwind throws, even your deep shots in these conditions. High throw and Farr with a physical catch, despite a lot of defensive pressure from Niels Duffy. Helen Golden upfield. Disc pops up. Now it's in Northampton's hands. Dive and catch. The stab by Fiona Shibley.
Some discussion here if the disc was on the ground or not before the catch was made. Seems like they will come to the conclusion that it was on the ground before the catch. And you're going to see a lot of Isabel Farr today. Isabel Farr is usually a very reliable offensive handler on this Nathan Hale team. Expect her to be shooting it deep a lot and getting a lot of those touches, picking up the disc.
Probably one of the most experienced players here at the High School National Invite, and after that Northampton turnover, she'll get to pick up again. She's also drawn what early on seems to be the toughest matchup with the experienced Niels Duffy in coverage. But you can see the poise that Farr has. She has the disc now. And just like throwing is difficult in the wind, catching can be very difficult as well. Big rip from Niels Duffy, but no chance for the receiver. Got to flip the field and give Nathan Hale a fresh 70.
It's going to take a few points for these players to really get acclimated to this field. On their previous field in the first round, the fields were mostly at a crosswind. Now we're mostly in an upwind, downwind, and especially with Northampton, it took them a little bit longer to get from their field to the showcase field. They didn't have too much time to warm up on this field. So they're using this time to feel out the wind, feeling out the conditions.
Team's also getting a chance to feel out the defense. I imagine it wouldn't be surprised if they saw a lot of zone in these first games, and now they come out and both teams are just one-on-one. Far without a lot of options. After a nice defensive possession for Northampton, they force a first throw turnover. Northampton initiating from the sideline. Throw into the middle, but it pops out of the hand of the receiver. Now deep shot going up from far. And knocked down by a swarm of defenders. Northampton. And they're just moving. They've struggled a little bit on some of the short range completions. Haven't been able to string together a lot of passes. These deep throws have been their best method of attack. And the completion to Shibley can't get the continue.
As much as we talk about the effectiveness of running a zone, both these teams are doing a really good job about just closing in that buffer on their one-to-one matchups, playing very intense, sometimes even physical defense with each other.
Having no trouble generating turnovers. I think sometimes one of the things about trying to run a zone is you can give up a lot of easy passes in these windy conditions, and it's not just matching up it and playing one-on-one and letting letting the wind help you rather is enough on defense. As possession's changing hands fast and furious. Another interception for Neil Duffy, short field and into the end zone. Northampton with the opening hold in this downwind end zone. Clara Kurtzman coming down with the goal.
As much as you want to be able to get that upwind break, starting with the disc on defense, as long as you're really making the offense work and work and work, and making it a long point, making it very difficult to make this score happen, creating a lot of turnovers, gives an opportunity to put some pressure on later in the game, tire out some of their offensive stars.
And these long points are going to challenge both teams' top-end players to show some resilience, fortitude. Nathan Hale, of course, an experienced team. We talk about Farr, and she's got to be one of the most experienced players here at High School National Invite, at least at competing at this tournament. It's been a key fixture on Nathan Hale and a number of their runs. Often a team contending for a spot in the final or semifinals. Farr has had a lot of chances to learn about competing nationally here at the High School National Invite.
Yeah, Farr is one of those players that you're going to be able to see playing in probably a vast majority of these points in these really crucial pool play games. And Farr is also used to that because they actually had a very small roster this entire year. Most of the year, they've only had about 13 people on their roster. They were able to pick up a few more names to come into the High School National Invite, which is going to help with their depth. But this is not unfamiliar territory for Farr.
Excuse me, I mistakenly been calling the player that Farr had been matched up with Lila Niels Duffy, but that was actually Olive Puls-Felis. And a quick turn for Hale will give the first upwind possession that we'll see from Northampton. We'll see if they can find some more rhythm. Tatum Hathaway getting ready to bring it in. crossfield throw, and despite the falling catch, can't quite make it. And those horizontal connections have given Northampton some trouble in these wins. Goal line possession. And Hale isolates and gets a score. Hazel Geiger gets a quick one.
Both teams on offense, very similar strategies. Get the disc into the end zone as fast as possible. If you turn it over, at least you're gained yards per that turnover. And it puts a lot of pressure on that D-line offense to be able to make a few throws and get it back off of their goal line.
Yeah, one of my mantras as a coach in winning conditions in particular, but really any time, is if you have a choice between a hard throw backward and a hard throw forward, let's choose the hard throw forward. Give the other team some field that they have to work with. If you have a choice between an easy throw backwards and a hard throw forwards, it's a different calculus. But when both choices are hard, let's take the one that's further downfield.
Even on that throw for the score, going downwind, those short throws, especially those short flicks, are very difficult to just float nice and softly in there. Really good job by the receiver just to pin it against their leg and make sure that it's secure for the score.
So both teams notch downwind holds, although Hale's came considerably fewer possessions. See if that extra efficiency can benefit them. Puls-Felis working it with Hathaway. Puls-Felis taking off against Farr and making a tough catch on the sideline and into the end zone. So there's a quick score for Northampton, showing that they can punch it in downwind with efficiency too. That's a clean hold.
A rare clean hold at that. You're not going to see a whole lot of those today. And it was all done on that flat sideline. Or I'm sorry, on that trap sideline. The mark was forcing toward the sideline that is facing away from your screen, and they were able to just kind of work it up, get a few dishes, and then at some point find their target for the score.
You could see the impact of Puls-Felis. That's a big target downfield. Has also been skilled around the disc. Was invited to try out for the under-20 U.S. national team, which is often a mark of really high level of talent, and it's made a big impact through just 3 points on this game.
Absolutely. If you're able to be a force downfield as well as be the person that can pick up the disc and start your offense, that's super valuable. You want to be able to take the disc out of their hands, but then if they go deep, very difficult to always have to be in that containment mindset.
Played with Northampton Starling, high-level club team in the women's division. So already has some quality club experience. Not the only one in this game who's got some accolades. I won't shock anybody who follows high school ultimate to know that these Seattle players often come with some pretty impressive resumes of their own. Farr looking to the end zone, and too much air under that throw. It heads out of bounds. Before Rowan Limp can track it down.
A chance for Northampton to make some adjustments. Before, we've seen them in this very similar position, and they had a turnover right on the goal line. Let's see if they're going to make these passes a little bit easier for the throwers in the wind and keep the flow moving that way.
Now a zone, and it gets a Callahan for Nathan Hale. scoring downwind, but on defense this time. And they get a defensive hold. And the first Callahan we've seen on the field here, and it's got Hale fired up.
Callahan, one of the most exciting plays in the sport of Ultimate. And that pressure in that upwind end zone. Very apparent on that mark. Shifting over, making the throw as difficult as possible. And Isabella Farr gets a Callahan.
Nice job on the mark, who won't get the goal on the stat sheet, but had a big impact on getting that Callahan. And it's funny because you're right. Callahans, I think, are one of the plays that get people the most excited. But if, like, just in there, if you just put them in a vacuum, I find that many Callahans are actually quite boring. Right? Like, a mishandled throw turns into an easy catch in the end zone or whatnot. But getting that defense to offense score, just it gets people really excited. Now, on the flip side, when you give up a Callahan, you kind of have to just remind yourself, it was just like any other turnover. It just happened to be in the end zone. It accounted for a goal, but, like, you can't overemphasize it on offense, but on defense, yeah, emphasize it as much as possible.
It can be mentally challenging to have a name for the turnover that you throw. Absolutely, Keith.
And I say this as somebody who has many times been on both sides of that coin. I'm confident that I have caught more Callahans than I've thrown, but both of those categories I have multiple. Smooth start to this offensive possession as Hale transitions into a zone look of their own. Obviously, after the success of last point, no surprise to see them come back out. And the big attempted throw pops over the Cutter's heads. So Farr gets to check in. And there, a deflected play. Bidding attempt comes up short. Initiated by Northampton. Here's Niels Duffy back to Hathaway. Handlers working side to side right now for Northampton. Faced down by this wall defense from Hale. That's putting a lot of its focus on stopping these forward throws and then the swing, and then Puls-Felis absolutely uncorks a scooper into the end zone. I don't think the defense saw that coming. I certainly didn't. But winds up the upside down throw and stuffs it into the goal.
The confidence to be able to make that throw happen, just knowing that has to be on a rope. Any more in the air, and it probably just carries and carries and carries. But that hits the bullseye between two defenders.
The combination of accuracy and velocity on that throw is very impressive in these conditions. You know, and just a little shrug for Puls-Felis. I don't know if that's like a Jordan shrug, like a I don't know, I can't miss, or if it's more like I didn't know what else to do. I just put up the most creative option I could find. But whatever it is, it's a highlight for sure.
I will say I was very impressed with the effort and intensity that the two lane poaches were doing in that zone for Nathan Hale. They were very active, shifting laterally very quickly, causing a little bit of trouble in the backfield to find those backfield options. But seeing that window and knowing that you have that throw to be able to go over the zone, that is a game changer for a zone offense.
Yeah, there's some throws that you kind of have to concede and just say, all right, if you can do that, we either need to change defenses or just bow down and give you your credit. Because if you can hit that look repeatedly, maybe you just got it like that. So Farr getting ready to bring it in for Hale. Looking to respond. All holds through the first 5 points of this game. Downwind end zone has been a lot more friendly than the mostly inaccessible upwind end zone. I don't really think we've been close. Breakaway opportunity for Hale. Well, Puls-Felis is a bit imposing on the mark for the thrower to get something off downfield. Great continue movement from Hale, however, and that is another clean hold from Nathan Hale, showing that this downwind context is not going to deter them at all from keeping their offense moving.
Great patience, great awareness. Almost zigzagging through the field, faking some directions, and immediately shifting their weight and throwing that backhand toward that break side. Great fundamental offense. And if they keep doing that, they're going to find themselves holding more and more.
Rowan Limp on the score, and another player who we've seen show out at HSNI before, and like Puls-Felis is a national team tryout player and has some big-time club experience playing with Seattle Mixtape. That's part of what you go to the high school national invite for, right? Is to see the stars of tomorrow, these young players who have already started to establish themselves. And that's one of my, as someone who follows a lot of Ultimate, I feel like I could say, it's so fun to be able to follow these players' journeys. And for many of them, this is kind of the beginning, although fewer in the Seattle girls scene than in other girls scenes, as many of these players will start playing in middle school and even earlier. But still, you'll find a lot of players who are in their first or second year ever touching a disc at this tournament and get to start learning about who we could be following for years to come. We already had a nice pronouncement in the first game from 8th grader Alice Rieger. We'll see who else we're going to learn about today. Nice diving catch from Shibboleth. Saves possession. Northampton finding a little more offensive rhythm. They're figuring out where they want to go faster, but struggling to execute. Farr sends a huck that catches the air, but a great backside reception. Gets them past midfield. And then Farr up the line onto the attacking side now. This is the high sideline, so maybe a chance to try and push it deep. It tries to attack to Limp, but well defended. And the throw pushed down by the wind. Now it's all the way on the opposite low side.
Good field position for the Nathan Hale defense now to be able to set up in that corner of the field. If they're able to get a turnover here and keep it in the red zone, they might have an opportunity to get this first up-one break.
Especially with that low side sideline there, it can be tough to throw directly up the line. Puls-Felis able to do so well enough to at least keep it in bounds on what it's going to amount to a punt for field position.
A punt through the flat mark at that.
Yeah, it can be difficult. Executing that, even just getting it to come back into play, can be hard. Quick turnover from Hale. Now great opportunity for Northampton to attack as Hale's trying to transition in on defense. But great defense from Hale once they settle in. Golden able to contain the continue, and then the hand block from Geiger nearly comes up with the play the other way, but back to Northampton.
And those are the blocks that are going to be huge in this game, those backfield turns.
High release from Hathaway gets things started for Northampton. But the throw through the middle hits turf. Farr back to pick up again. Low throw, Golden dives, but great field position now for Northampton. These teams are going back and forth. Puls-Felis again going in the bag. And great effort from Niels Duffy to try and bring that in on the sideline, but a lot to consider for a receiver. Tough play to make.
I love the confidence to be able to throw these upside-down throws. As we take a look at that hammer, goes way over the top. In that downfield space, once it gets a lot of height, it just keeps carrying and keeps carrying. Can be difficult to read.
You got to think about when you're throwing that hammer, is this a good option for my receiver too? Tough catch for Niels Duffy to make. Hale trying to run their reset system. Can't connect. Another red zone possession for Northampton. Northampton trying to follow suit with some previous Massachusetts teams that have made great runs for Rivers, most notably, and they're just missing on a swing. And it's easy to lose focus in these conditions, Jimmy, and just put one out without enough snap, and the wind will be happy to capitalize.
Absolutely. Even when you make the throw as easy as you can for the thrower to be able to just put it in your breadbasket, you still have to have that focus the entire time.
Deep shot going up from Hale, but can't keep it in bounds.
I like these fast break looks from Nathan Hale. They need to be able to, I think, generate just a few more short options just to make these throws as easy as possible, because they are turning it on most of these deeper throws.
Puls-Felis taking advantage of that high sideline to put something long, but well beyond the bounds of the field. And I would say it seems like all Puls-Felis has the green light right now.
It would seem so, Keith.
So far, marching it back to the goal line. Farr gets the initiation off to Geiger. Nice patience from Geiger to wait as the reset cut develops. Golden with the diving catch. It's a nice motion right now from Hale in the backfield. Gets him into power position. But they continue to attack on the upline space. And there's the power position. Look deep. It's deflected. And what a catch from Rowan Limp. Great focus. And right now, Hazel Geiger driving the attack. Just mercilessly going up the line. And Farr taking a timeout with Hale a few yards away from notching the first upwind score of this game.
You talked about the relentlessness with going up the line, and I think that's a great strategy for them. Work their defender, be able to beat them into that space, and throw the disc down the field. We're going to see this catch from Limp. Great focus after the deflection to be able to get a hand on that and then keep flow going.
Hand-eye coordination on display from Rowan Limp.
Working the tip drill. Especially a very wobbly disc like that, you never know how that's going to come down. Being able to just attack it, snatch it.
Yeah, it may seem like a silly game in practice to kind of just throw wobbly, goofy passes to each other, but not only can it be fun for the players, but a good chance to practice making those difficult grabs. Not every throw is ideal, alas. That one knocked away, but Limp able to make the play, and that is one of the things that in the windy conditions I think makes such a big difference, Jimmy, is who can make a couple of those second effort grabs, make a couple of those deflected catches. They can be real advantages to be gained if you're the team that's on the right side of them.
It's not always about just playing the cleanest game. Like, in these windy games, it's a war of attrition. If you're able to come down with the plays that maybe you shouldn't have, then it's a massive upside for your team.
We'll see how Hale can approach this post-timeout play. Little ATO, and coming from a stop disc, but in great field position. It's going to be tempting to try and get to that front cone. But Northampton's all about covering that as a team, but nearly sneaks one through to Limp. Kind of throwing at the back of the defender, and then Limp just trying to run past. Hale trying to apply some pressure as the disc is still near this end zone, and Northampton says, we're going to get it out of here, but the throw slips out of the hands of the thrower. Goes to about the brick mark. Farr, again with Puls-Felis on the mark. It's nicely executed at the point of the throw to get the step around, but can't get the right touch on it. Farr and Puls-Felis are both long players, and they're giving each other trouble around the disc. Farr steps out, and this time hits on a throw that she missed on last time, and Nathan Hale is the first team to score upwind despite Northampton being the first team to score, and Hazel Geiger gets into the end zone.
We mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Keith, the first team to get the upwind break has massive momentum going into the rest of this game. They had the opportunity, Nathan Hale, on the end zone, and they called the timeout. They weren't able to execute. You almost thought, oh, did we just screw up our chance to punch it in? But then they keep the disc on the goal line and are able to punch it in after.
Yeah, that huck that slipped out of the hands of the Northampton thrower proved to be somewhat costly, so that helped give Hale good field position. Then they're able to knock it in, and the momentum plays are certainly going the Seattle team's ways as they have a downwind Callahan and now the first upwind break. See their coaching staff discussing how they want to approach these next couple points. Northampton back on the line. It looks like we're going to get a timeout as the coaches want to take a little extra time to discuss.
So that's 2 timeouts used in close proximity.
Last game we had two timeouts and a single point.
Same point, yeah.
So teams recognize that these games might not go the full distance, and so you can be pretty aggressive with your timeout usage. And this is a big point because right now, a chance for Northampton to flip this break and go upwind for a hold. And if they are able to hold upwind, you can put the pressure back on Hale, because one of these teams could potentially, or Hale rather, could score 2 in a row here, as often teams do after scoring a big upwinder. Hale being coached by Dom Cavallero and Siona Antolin.
A soft goal also on their coaching staff as well.
And of course, the part of what has made the youth scene in Seattle so powerful for so long has been the investment from players in the community in giving back and coaching these teams. And, you know, these are players who, with a lot of high-level reps coaching these squads. And it's great for players who are being introduced to the game or are just really starting to find who they want to be in their ultimate careers, getting a chance to work with elite players as their coaches. A dropped pull from Northampton is going to short-circuit their first hold chance going upwind. And these short field turns are creating real problems for them. Farr pivoting into the end zone, looking for options, and chooses the high release forehand. And Golden has been diving all over this field, and this time does so for another break. Hale gets the double break and goes up 5-3.
That is a high skill throw. That high release forehand to break the mark, go right over the shoulder. Dives a little bit quickly going upwind.
I am a huge proponent of the downwind high release forehand. I think it's a great throw in those conditions because it's easy to put a lot of snap on once you have a good comfort level with it. And so it can give it a nice flat look. And they're just pushing it into the end zone, really, to the open receiver. Hale gets to celebrate.
Golden is absolutely fired up after that big play, securing that double break.
Yeah, the sophomore has been really putting in the work during this game. Getting their rewards now. Hale, a very young team. I mean, Farr and Limp, the only seniors on this Hale team that's filled with a lot of sophomores like Golden. So for a program that has often been so strong, maybe it's, I wouldn't call it a rebuilding year by any means, but they are able to invest a lot in growth, and this could be a team that's on an upward trajectory, which is a wild thing to say about a team that's a 4 seed and has a real shot at winning this tournament.
It's a great place to be in as a program when you have a couple seniors that are your star players that can be huge leaders for the team in Limp and Farr, but to have the depth and the youth to be able to know that you can carry this program on for years and years to come, they should feel really good about where they're at, and they're playing super well in this game.
And pardon me, I skipped over senior Joe Altschuler, the third senior on the team, but not that I think that makes a substantive difference between having 2 and 3 seniors. Still a pretty young squad. We'll see what they can do as they have jumped out in front in this game and have made a lot of the big momentum plays. And how will Northampton respond? I mean, they've made a couple of mistakes that sure they feel like were plays they easily could have made and that have turned the tide in this game. Puls-Felis picks up. And Northampton can't hit that second look. Hale trying to get it upwind, but no real option, so forced into the middle. Puls-Felis gets the block, picks it up, and puts it in. So a quick score for Northampton, probably just what the doctor ordered.
And Puls-Felis dropped the pull in the last point. Dropped the reset in the point before. This point gets the block, gets the assist, making sure that they are going to be making up for those mistakes and willing their team back into this game.
There's the block from Puls-Felis. And just picks up with an early target. And Jimmy, I think that we talked a little bit about how valuable being able to play in transition can be in these windy conditions, especially when teams are playing a lot of zone. There, Puls-Felis able to say, hey, I've got an option right now. No need for me to wait.
No need to let any marks set up, any poaches to set up. Running through the Ds, picking up the disc early, being in transition. All attributes of an offense that is ready to get this downwind point. Punch it in quickly. Now the test really starts back up for them if they're able to go back all the way upwind. And we've seen a few of these pulls get past the halfway point, but then roll and roll and roll back toward the end zone.
It's funny. I mean, you think about pull coverage a little bit. I feel like we steal language from like covering a kickoff in football, but you actually do kind of have to spread out to make sure that you're ready to field those pulls. Receiver spreading out in the air, Geiger taking off to try and make that play on the sideline of the end zone, but can't come up with it. Another look at Geiger's bid.
The athleticism of these athletes seems to go up every year, up and down the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I played high school Ultimate a really long time ago, Jimmy. Too long for me to even really say. But I'm almost positive we were not half as athletic as these players are. And we were good. I mean, we were a good team. Quick turnovers both ways. We get more of this matchup between Puls-Felis and Farr. They're going to be very familiar with each other. Great saving catch sliding on the turf is a tough play to make. Northampton's Jade Rousseau sliding in for the save. Can't complete the next throw, and neither can Nathan Hale. So goal line turnover, just back to the Massachusetts club.
Puls-Felis flashing into that lane at the last second, making the thrower have to realize, oh, there's somebody in this way. I got to be able to slot this exactly where it needs to be, putting enough pressure on it to force that turn.
Nice job by Northampton using that sideways horizontal movement to open up the middle of the field. Now they're on the attack as they approach the midline. Hathaway winds up a backhand and puts it deep, but I don't think her receiver saw that it caught some air, and instead it's caught by the unintended target, Sarah Hawk. And now into the end zone, and nearly the upwind break, but broken up at the last second by Scarlett Ching. She jumps in for a goal-saving block. And now a huge throw. Limp gets underneath it with the layout catch. And then the continue into the end zone is incomplete.
Bodies are flying out here on the showcase field.
So all the way, Northampton just outside of the end zone, and now they'll have to go the whole 70 again. There's the catch from Limp. Manages to get her hands underneath it. Has a tough play, but even that continued throw, as open as it was, is hard in these conditions.
Always a difficult thing, too, after a big layout, a big play, to have the awareness, control, to be able to just set that easily in the end zone.
Yeah, but there's what I've seen Rowan Limp do many a time, which is play tremendous defense all over that reset, gets the easy block and the easy score, or easy assist, I should say. So Hale able to punch in one of those short field turns after coming within inches of giving up the upwind break. Or upwind hold, I believe. No, they already flipped the double, right?
Yes.
Okay, upwind break.
Yep.
A second upwind break. Big play from Scarlett Ching. They were able to get there just in the nick of time, get the block, and then credit to Golden for making a really big, expansive backhand throw downwind, but not one that was beyond the reach of her target. Limp just able to get there. That was the field position that Hale needed to gain. Look, Northampton almost there.
Very close play right there. A fraction of a second earlier to make that catch, extend those arms out, and maybe could have been called a strip. But I don't think that the receiver had complete control of the disc before the defender was able to get in there and make the play.
Somehow these windy days always make it feel like a game of inches. You know, it comes down to these tiny little margins that make it, I mean, that foot of so or difference right there ended up turning up into another 60 yards of difference a couple throws later.
I do want to give some credit to Northampton, though, working upwind, getting low on their releases, getting a ton of snap on these really short throws, allowed them to work it up to be able to get that chance.
Yeah, some great offensive motion, sets up the deep throw, and Sarah Hoke with a nice catch. Northampton will bring it in. Positive side of the field. Can't complete that first throw, however, so Hale with another chance to score upwind. Quick incompletion, so Puls-Felis will get to pick up ahead of the brick mark this time. Nice movement to the open side for Northampton, but a downfield throw can't stay up in the air. Shibley starts pushed down to the turf. Hale checks in on the low side cone, and that high throw bounces off the hands of the receiver And Puls-Felis gets another block and immediately looks to the end zone again. And this time it's brought in. Jade Rousseau with the score for Northampton. Makes it 6-5.
Rousseau elevating in that high arcing throw, knowing that they can keep that position, hold their defender on their back, getting up and being confident, attacking the disc at the highest point. That's what coaches always talk about. Attack the disc at the highest point. If you let that come down, it gives a chance for the defense to be able to come in there and take it away when it should have been a surefire goal.
See the wind pushing clothes, hair, flags, fans. My coffee this morning. Wind is having an effect on basically everything.
And with this wind, creates longer points, turns games into perhaps a little bit more low scoring. And with that, our halftime cap is just about to come on.
A great change. I think that especially for the younger the players are, the more this change feels impactful. A rule that we instituted a handful of years ago to make sure that even in these games that get mired in long points, players still get a real break in the middle of the game to both hydrate and stay healthy, get out of the sun, but also to get a chance to make adjustments, to talk with the coaches. Very, very astute change on the part of USA Ultimate. Back to matchup defense for Northampton. We haven't seen that since early in the game. Gets a quick turnover from Hale.
Forcing that tough inside-out flick going up, down the wind. Oftentimes coaches call that a hardest because it is one of the hardest throws in Ultimate to be able to create.
I've seen a lot of players developing that offhand backhand to try and get into that space, but in these windy conditions, your offhand backhand might not have enough snap. Short throw dropped by Northampton. Far looking to the end zone. Give and go from Far, and Golden somehow able to throw that backhand to the forehand side with the step out and a little inside out angle, but just the right touch on it to put it in Far's breadbasket for a Hale score.
And I love that small give and go action, especially on the end zone. Northampton has actually been doing a very good job at sagging into these lanes, making it harder for the cutters to be able to get open. They're giving a little bit extra buffer. In the handler space, though, easier to work those give and goes as we see the turnover there. Far getting a hand on it. Getting a quick dish, immediately going up the line. Before Puls-Felis is able to get themselves positioned in a spot, shuffling over to take them out of that strike space. When you're marking, forcing forehand, and you immediately give and go away from where the mark is, it is so difficult to be able to have the presence of mind to know that you have to get yourself shuffled over. Great awareness to be able to exploit that hole in the defense.
I think that's a credit to the skill of this Hale team, living up to their reputation. For a young player like Golden to be able to figure out how to access those difficult to reach parts of the field even in these conditions. Northampton coming in, immediate throw to the end zone for Puls-Felis, and it's just beyond the reach of Rousseau, trying to get her second goal.
Rousseau tried to snag that disc from the back, trying to reach around with that left hand to be able to get the spin to catch into your hand. might have made that throw a little bit easier.
Hale able to get that first completion to start things off. Golden back with it. Power position for Limp. It finds a quick continue option, but the catch mishandled. But earned right back by Golden on the block.
Golden playing with some authority right now, showing the handler where to cut with pointing in that nonverbal communication, and also getting the D on the other side, picking up the disc.
Tough catch by Kayla Noji against Puls-Felis. Can't complete the next throw, but love to see those sticky hands. And then all over Puls-Felis on defense. Northampton's forced to go elsewhere, and they get the score. Hathaway just tucks that into Kurtzman. Kurtzman gets into the end zone for the second time this game.
And even with the half cap going off, the point previous when Hale scored, that made it so that half would actually be at 8. So the half cap is nullified at this point. So half will be at 8. First team to score 8 points. As we see a Northampton fan carrying the flag, the team pride.
Have you had a team with a team flag before?
Oh yeah, it's nice when apparel companies are able to throw in the flag with the jerseys. That's always a huge plus. Might as well use it if you got it.
When I was coaching at the women's division team at Emory, one year the seniors gave the team a team flag as their senior gift, and it became a staple. Although also a bit of a burden for some of the younger players. They were placed in charge of the flag. You got to make sure we bring it to the tournament and that we don't lose it. But it's nice to have a bit of a physical talisman for being excited on the sideline, especially in this wind. You know, even if your team's faded, that flag's not.
The flag was still there.
Provided the rookies took care of it. Dive and catch from Geiger. Hazel Geiger's been on the turf a lot, as has Golden, and that time empty-handed. Hathaway and Puls-Felis getting things started. Another matchup defense point. Although a bit of a hybrid defense, Puls-Felis with multiple touches trying to make that catch, but just pulled away, and Farr is able to fire one off, a little low, but puts Northampton back on their own goal line.
That throw is probably not intended for Geiger. Hopefully going for the receiver on the other side. And I gotta say, I'm still especially impressed with Hathaway and her ability to work these low release flick or backhands going up the wind, as we see trying to go the high release, gets into the claws of the defense.
Yeah, Amina Kuhn maybe had seen that look one time too many and is able to jump all over it, and that time Farr's around backhand. Just too difficult to track for Limp in these windy conditions. The disc can kind of move up and down really quickly, and it snakes away from her hand.
I think Limp thought that was going to be an easy score, and then it just pushed a little bit extra, making it a lot less simple to catch.
Nice block to get the short field position back by Aya Byrne. Now Golden in the red zone. Sophomore gets it out in front of the receiver, but it dies a little early. This back to Northampton.
Throwers having a little bit of trouble on that side of the field, exactly putting the disc in where they want it to be in that breadbasket.
And it can be hard with the low release when you're going downwind, because you have to get the disc coming out of your hand with a little bit of upward edge to keep it from going downwards. And it's difficult to execute. Puls-Felis inside, but can't quite connect. So the disc has been stuck in this 10 yards or so of field. And Hale's going to get another chance to punch in a short score. And uncovered Geiger makes it a layup for Hale to take half, 8-6.
Nathan Hale needed that score to be able to make sure that they could keep that steady sequence of events, put it in the goal.
And their defense really doing the work here, getting them a lot of short fields, keeping any rhythm from being established for Northampton. And then Geiger just catches Northampton's defense confused, leaves her open, and last-ditch effort, not good enough to stop Hazel Geiger from getting into the end zone. And that's her third goal to go with an assist and a block. Strong effort from Nathan Hale, showing they can navigate the wind, but can Northampton make another big run, make a comeback and get a close win? We'll find out in the second half. Hale and Hampton, 8-6.
To me, ultimate is confidence.
Confidence that my focus, my hard work will pay off. I push. So when I step out on that field
And look at the 7 across from me,
I know
that they aren't ready.
Here, right here, in Rockford, Illinois.
My first few years of college, I threw every single day. Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working toward winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
On the grand stage to keep possession. Huge fans gets the touch. It's a great opportunity for the Germans, and they break with ease. Throw it the full 80 yards to the field. Are you kidding me? And an incredible catch. You are kidding me. Oh my God! One of the plays of the year.
Nathan Hale up 8-6 on Northampton in what has been a hotly contested upwind, downwind matchup here at the high school national invite. Keith Rayner joined by Jimmy Chowdhuan for this second round matchup from the girls division. And it has been a an interesting one where we've seen a little bit of everything from both teams, attacking with the deep game, upside down throws, zones, matchup, Callahans. We've got a lot of different flavors of Ultimate.
As much as it's very difficult to work the disc upwind, both teams are actually mostly pretty efficient working the downfield space, being able to find the disc in the end zone and keeping the game moving along. As we look at the stats here, total turnovers, of course, you're going to see a lot of those in this in these conditions, but also taking a look at those break chances. Nathan Hale creating 26 break chances.
Yeah, I think if you're Northampton, the thing to be excited about is that you actually have more clean holds than Hale does. Although I'm betting, I don't know if me giving up a Callahan is like kind of counteracts that a little bit. But knowing, hey, we can play efficiently on offense, has to give you some hope that it's just a 2-break difference, and those breaks can come in pairs, so you can stay motivated. If we can score this upwinder, which they were so close to in the first half, they could turn this game around. But Hale's defense has been feisty. They are aggressive and physical and attacking the disc really well. And so they're not going to go down easy.
They have to know that they have the confidence to work it upwind. They were able to create really good flow, working through the zone. They got so close to the end zone. They have it within themselves. Right now in these halftime huddles, they need to be able to inspire that confidence within themselves, within their coaches, knowing that they can trust their systems.
We'll see what adjustments teams are opting for coming out of the break. Often a good chance to work up a new zone or change the arrangement of your zone or how you're going to play zone offense. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see these teams come out with different looks in the second half. The Northampton side is particularly a team that prides themselves on having a diverse set of options to go to, a non-traditional playbook, if you will. And so we'll see with these incredibly windy conditions. You see that 27 miles per hour. It has been a tough task for these offenses to get the disc moving, but I think that offers an opportunity for Northampton to utilize unusual tactics. I mean, they said that we don't try and do what everybody else does. We often don't play straight matchup or straight zone. We mix a lot of things up. And so there's a chance for you to get creative with how you want to approach. But Nathan Hale is going to put all your systems to the test.
Nathan Hale receiving the disc, going downwind to start the second half. Raising to signal they're ready. Puls-Felis with the pull.
And that has gotten both teams the roll back. They just can't. You really have to send all your players wide across the field. Even when the pull is going up, you should have players, one player at least, like kind of by each cone, and then spaced out appropriately between, because you want to make a whole line of people for that disc to have to roll through. Golden able to sneak up the line and able to get it right back to Farr. And they're playing in a small window, but it's big enough to fit a disc through. So Hale gets into the end zone with some quick upline action. Another score for Geiger.
Another clean hold as well. And again, going back to the importance of that pull. Every yard matters, especially in this wind. You know that the disc is going to turn over toward the left, toward the far side of the field, compared to where the cameras are and looking at the screen. You need to be able to stop that. As we look at these up lines, again, super proficient at working these upline options. Always have somebody attacking that space. It seems to be what they're prioritizing.
Yeah, and as a coach, I think the pull coverage thing gets to me because it's so controllable. It's like a thing you have a lot of control over, which is how you approach pull coverage. And so it's like an opportunity you leave on the table. It may not actually ultimately make a ton of difference, but we've said multiple times in these windy conditions, it really can be a game of inches. Hale back out on defense now with their largest lead of the game. Northampton scoring first, but it was Hale that got the first break upwind, and then the accompanying downwind break, which is how they built their 2-break lead. Hathaway gets up line. Hathaway, you complimented her execution earlier, but really it's just great touch on her releases.
Those low release backhands.
Just cresting on the wind. Hale takes a second to get organized. Leave Arian with the disc. And that throw pops up. And the fans come down with a completion. I'll have our statistician has to build a new category with fans. One caught pass.
Can't keep the foul ball, though.
Hathaway able to get that off the line to start. But Neil Duffy captured by that low sideline.
And on that low sideline, Nathan Hale will be able to get a chance to have a little bit better field position because the disc never came back in bounds.
Yeah, low side and high side are something that I think are very important to playing in windy conditions. It could be actually, in wind this strong, I think it can almost be so difficult to get to the high side at all. So much of the game gets played on that low sideline where the wind is blowing the disc. And it can be pretty difficult to actually get it anywhere else. But you have to take advantage of those opportunities when you do. And it could be setups like this that can get you there, although Hathaway's throw escapes her. Nice catch. Safe possession. But the throw to the end zone misses the target.
And Keith, sometimes how I coach that is instead of always just thinking that you need to score at your end zone, you look to where you can score to get yourself onto the high side of the field. You kind of change the angle of attack, you change where the field is, you change where you're trying to prioritize the space, and then once you get there, it makes it a lot easier to work the disc after that.
Yeah, right now, Hale with a rare chance to initiate play from the high side and a good chance to take a deep shot. The throw flips over, though, too early. Puls-Felis gets the block. The other thing is you can defensively continue to try and force teams to the low side, regardless of whether it's the forehand or backhand side. Just try and pin them on that sideline. But these early possessions, one thing that we've seen both teams back off of in the beginning of this half is transition play. Teams are initiating play a little bit slower, trying to make sure they're all set up. But that's making it harder to get to some of this high side real estate. The wind picking up, and it is wreaking havoc on these forehands right now.
Kayla Noji getting in there with the block, saving the goal.
Hale gets Noji the disc in the middle. Not able to get enough motion forward. So turnover on the goal line, and Puls-Felis tries to high release a backhand into space. And there, maybe you want to put a little more force on the disc, try and give it some resistance to the wind. But it can be so hard throwing in this downwind direction in a way that players don't get enough time to practice or focus in. Hale looking for options, but Puls-Felis intercepts. And again, pulls the high release backhand out, and this one mishandled on the reception. But Puls-Felis is certainly adding to the block category. By our count, has at least 5 at this point. Northampton gets the disc right back. Hathaway trying to use that touchy backhand, but just too much traffic. And then Puls-Felis with a just big hand block, understated, casual, but impactful. And then the quick give and go into the end zone. Hey, if I can't throw it into the end zone, let me run it in. Works the running game for the score.
And that's the adjustment that you need to make sometimes. You realize that my throws right now are not getting the job done. They're not getting in the end zone exactly the way they need to be. Make the adjustment, give the easy dishes, work it with your legs, and be able to find the space in a different way. If we take a look at this hand block, just smacking the disc toward the backfield. And working that same give and go that we talked about earlier. I've heard a term being used, throw to the open side, go to the open side.
I think I need an acronym for that.
TOSCOS.
TOSCOS?
Throw open side, go open side.
There you go. I'm glad you had one at the ready. I asked for it, you delivered. Just like when you go up the line. But I actually think, especially in that situation, for a player like Puls-Felis who is, takes on a lot of the throwing responsibility for this team, sometimes it can feel like, okay, I have to make this scoring throw. I have the disc. I have a favorable position. Let me try and put it in the end zone. But they're wisely recognizing that, hey, I can just take an easy option and attack with my legs and score that way. Puls-Felis getting a break and getting some fruit-based hydration.
Playing near every point this game.
And this game on turf, no less.
It's a long tournament, Keith.
Play ahead for tomorrow as well, as these teams are still have another game to face today. With these teams in Pool D in the girls' division. Short field turnover for Northampton. And in this half, we've mostly been boxed in near this end zone. And there's, again, that look on the around backhand from far to Limp, and this time they connect for the score. When you got a great thrower and a great receiver, sometimes the game can be very simple.
It helps to have that length and to have that confidence to just step out as far as you can and put it toward that break side front cone, knowing that you've got a receiver running as fast as they can, securing it with that clap catch. Before we saw Limp casually going out with one hand, this time making the adjustment, knowing what she needs to do to be able to secure it.
So Hale with a 10-7 lead in a half that has been heavily focused on the downwind attack. Neither team been able to build up much going upwind yet, but we did see in the first half both teams making their way towards that upwind end zone. But perhaps the halftime defensive adjustments have just made it that much more difficult. You can see also the effects of a second long round of play with long points, perhaps starting to wear on players. It can vary from place to place, but some of these high school teams, like not all of their competition is even at a tournament level where you're playing, 3 games, 4 games in a day. Some high school teams often will play one-offs for most of their year. And most Oakland players at least have some tournament experience, but especially when you're playing at a higher level than you've had to in any other time during the year, it can be a real test.
Yeah, many teams playing within leagues in their cities and regions, having to at least go to one tournament to qualify for the high school national invite.
Both these teams have some tournament experience under their belt, but the high school national invite can be a different beast. Golden able to break free in the reset space. Working it back and forth with Sachi Jones. Little hip catch. Saves possession. And then another saving play from Hale. It's from Joe Altshuler. But they finally give it away. Made some tough plays to keep it.
Northampton still sitting some of their primary options to pick up the disc, seeing if they can get it done with the depth that they have.
Yeah, maybe a short field might be easier to work with going in the downwind direction, but first they got to stop this Hale attack, and there is that short field opportunity, although a foul call. Emma Gallus pedal aboard, able to get in and break up the play, but Golden alleging some illegal contact.
Give me your size one more time.
And then her hands kind of, like, all, I think all when I was like here, her hand went through and went on the disc before I could close it. Like that. Okay. I don't know if that's like...
Okay, so you can either ask me for clarifying, you can agree to send it as a contest back, or one of you can ask me to make a ruling.
Is it just like contact no matter
Well,
what?
you're calling a foul.
I'm calling a foul.
Yeah. Okay, so foul, no contest. So it's going to be disc here.
So the players agree that uncontested foul with the help of the observer. Not a lot of observers for high school play, but players getting a chance to learn a little bit about interacting with that third-party official. Turnover from Golden. And you can hear the observers using the opportunity to kind of be instructive about how working with observers works, how to navigate some of these conversations between each other. Definitely an emphasis at this tournament on players making the calls and then utilizing the observers for assistance.
Yeah, it's cool that they were still able to come to a resolution within themselves, the observer just helping kind of facilitate the conversation.
Trapped on that low side, Hale able to find a release valve in Noji. Not able to hit downfield. And not only have we seen both teams struggling to get upwind in these past few points, but we've also seen them really playing the short game. Haven't seen a lot of teams dialing up the deep shot. But that was a key factor in both of the teams' best upwind possessions, and here we go. Early deep look in transition to Noji. Noji looking to reset, and a miscommunication. Just didn't make eye contact with the reset, so the throw and the receiver going in different directions. Nice job by the mark from Noji to contain the deep look. As Northampton goes the other direction. A couple of passes to gain upfield position. Nice dump and swing. Yields Duffy. Looking upfield and can't connect.
And there was a great dump and a great swing to get it off of that low sideline. We just need to have that last continuation to be able to keep the disc flowing toward that high side.
Quick giveaway. And then Niels Duffy tries to put one in the end zone, but it's so low that it hits one of our teammates. Wasn't expecting it. So Arian back in. And off the hands of the receiver. Northampton, great opportunity to attack in transition. They pick up quickly. And then in the end zone for the score. Able to grind it out and do so without Puls-Felis on the field. Northampton gets the downwind hold. They make it 10-8 with about 12 minutes left to the soft cap.
Excellent defensive stand by Northampton. All of their cutter defenders were denying the underspace, making it extremely hard to be able to get any downfield throws. And if they were trying to boost one deep, then the wind is just going to eat that up. They know what they're trying to take away. Creates a short field turnover, and they're able to find, again, that small ball to be able to get it just in that tight enough window, but easy enough to secure it. Only about 7-8 yards away. And that's a huge point for Northampton, being able to do it without Puls-Felis on the field, giving that break. Now, coming back onto the field, disc in hands to pull. Some more of the starters out on the field.
Yeah, but Jimmy, I'm feeling a little bit of tension right now because as I look over at that Northampton line on the pull, I see them all clumped together about 10 yards apart.
Let's see if they make this adjustment.
I'm not going to harp on it. I won't. I promise I won't. But I'm seeing it play out right now. They are, however, mostly clumped on the low side. So if it does bend back to the low side, there is a lot of people there. And a foot to it, but not quite enough. Takes a second foot, and even that one doesn't completely stop it. So they're trying. They're getting closer. But still, Hale's going to bring it in ahead of the brick mark. Far with a hard no offline mark. Great 7 cut from Golden to get it started. And this looks familiar. Golden with a sick diving catch for the score. And again, we see that up-line attack in the short field with Farr, Golden, and Geiger. And Golden making the big play. That sophomore has been hyping it up.
What a play to be able to react to the disc so quickly. The disc is moving at such a fast pace going down the field, and it takes a split-second decision to realize, oh, I have to lay out. And it almost seemed like it came naturally. Like it wasn't even a decision that had to be made. It just saw the disc in the space, knew you had to get it, went there and got it.
Great physical instincts from Helen Golden, who has been very impressive in this game. And like we mentioned, just in her second year of high school, so someone who could be a fixture given Nathan Hale's record of success here at this tournament, someone we could be talking about for the next couple of years of high school national invite.
Getting experience on the main stage, on stream, on the showcase field, the high school national invite, and being the person on your team making the plays, it's got to be a good feeling.
Timeout as the teams are looking to figure out how exactly they want to approach this. See Golden able to get in every stat category, but that understates her impact as she's been diving on the field to save catches. She made the deep throw to Limp that helped them get a downwind score. She's been a fixture.
Only one block in the day, but the pressure that forces turns, sometimes it doesn't always show up in the stat sheet, but being relentless, staying tight, keeping that buffer short between you and your defender, it goes a long way to force a lot of turnovers.
And she has some playing national tournament experience, having played with the U17 team at YCCs from Dish Northwest, and was a very important part of that team last year. So that experience showing for Golden.
Keith, going back to this pull and being able to feel the pull, I almost kind of coach it like a catcher in baseball. A throw is in the dirt, you get down on the ground and you stop with your body and you make sure that you're following it the entire way. You're not letting it go anywhere else but using your chest, using your legs as a backstop instead of just kicking the disc. That a lot of times I see just roll right over that foot.
I'm going one further, Jimmy. Get your team hyped with a layout pull stop. Throw your whole body on the ground. Bam. Now your team's like, oh my gosh, then we're going all out. We're putting it all on the field. Another tactic, just roll it out of bounds.
Pull from that low sideline, and you know that the disc is going to roll out that way. So, yeah, why not?
That lets Hale come out with a 4-person cup, or at least 4 players up around the disc. And melts back one of the players as Puls-Felis releases. Now trying to push it up that low sideline, but nose up on that disc is a little bit of an air bounce release and gives good field position to Hale.
And I think that's been a little bit of a pattern that Puls-Felis is going to have to go back to the shed and work on, getting that nose down on those releases, especially those high releases that we were seeing earlier.
Forehand popping up, and those offline throws are really difficult coming from the low side. And I think that's given both teams trouble. Here's Puls-Felis. Has shown off a wide range of different types of looks in there, going for the crossfield forehand, but had some heat on it. The receiver can't bring it in.
That is a tough person to mark against, to be able to have the length of Puls-Felis, but also the lefty being able to release from different angles.
It's a deep bag, and Puls-Felis has been able to pull all sorts of different looks out of the toolkit. And they're able to get an interception, which has perhaps been a part of the game that we haven't even focused on enough for Puls-Felis, is just generating so many turnovers for her team. She is creating turnovers for the opposition.
Almost a similar play in that same spot, just far.
See Northampton really fronting and switching in almost a zone downfield. They've got a bracket on the cutters, and that completely stifles the motion. Get a stall on the goal line. You don't see that very often. Hathaway not able to get it to Puls-Felis, who very savvy cut from Puls-Felis. Just waits. I'm not going up the line. I don't know. I'm just walking, and then turns it on at just the right time, but the throw not on the mark.
The intensity of this Northampton defense, playing this team defense, we saw them create the stall earlier to generate that stall. If you are bracketing and you are forcing a whole 10 seconds with the disc in a thrower's hands, that's how you know that you're playing great team defense all the way around, especially with those switches.
And there again, we see the creative throwing of Puls-Felis set up a score. Tucks an inside backhand past the mark to Hathaway. And then Hathaway on the throw to the open side. Go to the open side. Score. Toskos. Get to know it, folks. Takes a little contact, but survives that easily and gets the celebration. There again is that little backhand push.
That little lefty low release half pivot backhand. Yeah, popped up a little bit, but trusting the players to make the play and having the confidence to throw that. That's a really good opportunity to actually get into another throw and go motion.
So 11-9, Northampton trails after the downwind score. So we are approaching the soft cap, under 3 minutes to go. And as much as it's a great score to be happy about right now, that what they need in this game is an upwind score. They cannot get back in front without it. And I don't know if we've seen anybody advance past midfield, maybe once in this half.
Not this half. We've seen a lot of action on that left side of your screen. And it looks like they're making a slight adjustment, pulling from that low side. Let's see where this disc ends up.
Well, whatever the adjustment was, it worked, because that was the best pull anybody's had upwind today. And great opportunity if Northampton can come out and play some strong defense. They're matched up this point. Limp underneath. And now looking deep up the low sideline, and the wind and the sideline take it. But full 70 for Northampton after the great pull.
Good presence of mind for Hale to know where they're at in this game. Carve up some yards easily on that first under. Look to continue it deep.
Puls-Felis met by limp on the mark. Some poaches from Hale. So you can see there's a thrower directly in front of in the throwing lane, and somehow that throw gets between the poach and the defender. Now here's Puls-Felis. Back to Niels Duffy. A lot of traffic right around the disc. Northampton's trying to keep the throws short, and a swing sails. Now far on the fast break, in towards limp, and it just catches enough air to escape the receiver.
Northampton finding a little bit of flow until a swing goes awry. Nathan Hale, again, putting the disc in the end zone, making them have to work at the full 70. I will say I did like a little bit of the flow that they were able to create that time. I like how they're chiseling up through the zone, creating downfield momentum.
Well, again, we're seeing that poach from Nathan Hale. As you can see, there's a defender, just in the center of that throwing lane. It's Ava Byrne who's been taking that role. They find a uncovered target. Not a lot of yards, but have been finding some options right now. But in their haste, unable to complete the pass, and now here's Farr again. And another throw on that around backhand to limp yet again. And Farr stacks up her fifth assist, on that one. Has 2 goals to go with that. Very impressive performance from Isabel Farr.
And now it's been a pattern. We've seen Farr be able to create that throw time after time again. I would almost want to challenge to make Farr throw that inside flick. That's a tough throw to make in that downfield or downwind situation. Farr's just got that length to be able to step out and get that lower release and keep it on that outside and angle. If there's one throw that I would tell people to get really comfortable at doing from like a standstill, other than trying to get give and goes going, it would be that throw. Step out, low release. There's so many great applications for it, whether it's getting it off the sideline, whether it's breaking marks. It gives you so much control on the field and gives you so much confidence to know that you can make that happen.
And Farr's got not only great length to work with, but great footwork, able to step out and deliver those passes confidently. And I'm in full agreement. Farr's shown you that she has that throw. You got to try and take that option away and make her show you something else. As it is easier said than done. She'll take a break as Hale comes out looking to stop. Farr with an impressive stat line, leading the way for Nathan Hale.
The cap is on. We will be playing game to 13. With Nathan Hale's last point.
Field Stuffy picks up, and this is another point where Puls-Felis is getting a rest on the downwind. She and Farr both off the field. And interception by Hale. But that short throw is almost too short. It's difficult to get much spin on the disc at that range. And without spin, the disc kind of wobbles away from Golden's hands. Hampton operating against Hale's zone, looking for options. Fields Duffy, low line drive, backhand. Some contact on the potential reception. Players deciding if there's going to be a foul call.
Players taking a second to look at it themselves.
Got called in.
Ava Bird in on the block for Hale. Looks like players are going to agree to disagree.
Who was it? Whatever the style count was is where it'll be again, unless it was over 6.
Don't believe they refer to the observers
okay, so
on
you're
that
come
one.
in
So they just say,
6.
hey, we see this different ways, and that's okay. We'll send it back and run a redo.
And that is a totally valid standpoint to have.
Field Stuffy goes basically the same throw, but different target this time. Trying to navigate their way into the end zone. Field Stuffy, forehands over the defense, and a tough catch just off the fingertips.
Now, I was saying before how it's important to get far to challenge her to see if she can make that kind of inside-out throw. We see Northampton try it there, and it ended up being difficult, but it almost did create that scoring opportunity.
Yeah, unusual way to try and throw over the top with the IO forehand, but it did work. Gave the receiver a good shot at it. Difficult play either way, but if you're Northampton, you know you're not going to get back into this game with easy plays. Deflected into the air, but caught by Hale. Golden bobbles, but makes the catch, and now Hale on the high side. I think there's a pick call, but I believe a turnover on a tough-to-catch disc. So players deciding that there was a turnover here, and again, I think that those really short backhands are a little tricky because you have to put spin on them. Nice fundamentals on the catch. Get your body behind the disc.
Absolutely.
Field Stuffy. Give and go.
Ooh.
Give and go. And then falling down, trying to get into the end zone, but there's Golden again.
I absolutely love the give and goes. Working that throw side, go open side concept that I've been talking about this entire game, but doing that to string together a dribble to get a few options going toward that front cone, now it just makes a whole team awareness to know not to cluster into that space at the very last moment.
That was a give and go and go and go and go. But it's Hale's disc now. Noji catches in the middle. And another one of those short backhands rears their ugly head. Field Stuffy picking it up. Straight up the line, and that one evades the grasp of the receiver.
Got tangled in the hair a little bit.
Leah Friedman Casas not able to make the catch, but does on defense, gets the interception. Northampton now looking to the end zone, but a little too much inside out edge on those low side forehands. It's going to send them out of bounds. Hale trying to direct traffic, I think, to figure out how to get past the Northampton defense that has really stepped it up in the second half. Golden trying to fit in that backhand again, and again the wind takes it.
Another short field opportunity for Northampton. We do have to take a look at the clock, though. Only a minute 40 seconds left until hard cap happens.
So barring a miracle, the outcome of the game probably decided, but you never know when point diff could factor in.
And it could still be an important thing for Northampton to hopefully get this hold and have the opportunity to still try to break going upwind. If you're able to do that, that gives yourself a lot of confidence knowing that you can do that. They haven't been able to get it this entire game, but if you get it just once, it's a mental game.
And same thing for Hale. I mean, getting another upwind score could really boost your team's confidence going into the rest of this tournament. Team getting a little bit frustrated with the way this point has been going given the impacts of the wind, but elements are uncaring, unfortunately.
Just need to spread out. Get that one person and get that lane to score. It takes discipline, whole team discipline.
And I think they're struggling so much with these short throws. If it were me, I would want to open the field up a little bit. See if you can put something out deep, get some more room to work with. And now's a great chance. Unmarked throw for Golden. Uses the fake to open up some space and then sends it. And now they're at midfield. Byrne with the catch. Gets the reset to Golden. And a lot more space for them to work with now that they're not crammed in at their own goal line. Golden. Tie reset to Arian. Upwind throw, though, caught by the defense. And Hampton says, we're sending this out of here. This is too threatening already.
Because of the timing of the tournament, this will be the last point regardless of who scores.
Nice open side motion. Does get Hale to the open side. Now a fast break opportunity for Northampton, but can't get the disc in play quick enough. Upline throw. Backhand gets away and rolls to the goal line, so Northampton with one of their best scoring opportunities yet.
Let's see if they take advantage of it. Get each other spread out. Find that space. Looks like they're doing a good job of that so far.
And you can see that it may not impact the outcome of this game, but that is a score that Northampton wanted. The sideline gets hyped. And so they'll be able to take some good energy into their next round, but it's Hale that'll take the win. So they get a 12-10 victory and score the only upwind score of the game.
Important for Northampton to keep it tight. A 2-point differential against a really great Nathan Hale side. They were able to get the upset win in their first round. They are still set up for success in this tournament. But Nathan Hale, again, Keith, getting that upwind break so early in the game and being able to just kind of cruise after that, super important for teams to be able to make sure that they are aware of the goal. And once you get that goal, once you achieve that, then you can figure out what you need to do to sustain that for the rest of the game.
And I tell teams all the time, if you can do it once, you can do it again, right? If you can score that upwinder, you know that you have that in your range of outcomes. It's just about getting there more often. So teams having fun in the sun. They're not letting the wind take away their opportunity to celebrate their seasons here at the High School National Invite. Got some big plays on defense from both sides. And another show-out performance from one of the younger players we've had on stream, Ellen Golden, the Nathan Hale sophomore, with an impressive game. Even the fans getting in on the action, Jimmy. But it was Hale that was able to make these tough upwind plays to get the final upwind score. And Nathan Hale takes the win, 12-10 over Northampton.